Hello, everyone. So we are live again for yet another Author Life Chat show, and today, Sunday, 17th October, 9 p.m. CST, and we are live again to talk about another non-fiction book. And this time around, it's going to be author Jesse Cruz, and the book is about losing faith, finding hope. And so a little bit about him, right? The author lives in upstate New York with his wife and children. The Cruz family currently serves at Cross Creek Church. He has proudly served our country as an Iraq War veteran of the U.S. Army. He is also the Assistant Director of the Ontario County Youth Advocate Programs. In addition to his career, he has been engaged in speaking at correctional facilities and coaching sports. He has a BA in Community Youth Development at Nazareth College. Currently, he is pursuing his Master's in Theology at Colgate, Rochester, Crozer Divinity School. In his spare time, he enjoys traveling and hiking with family and friends. He is also available for speaking engagements and book signings. You may contact him directly at authorjessecruz at gmail.com. Now, without further ado, let's welcome him to the show. Hello, Jesse. Hello. Thank you so much for actually joining me today, Sunday 8 p.m. CSE, for the non-fiction author live chat show. It's a pleasure to have you today to talk about your book and all the stories that you have for us, all the inspiration that you are about to, give us. So before that, I know I have actually briefly introduced you earlier, but I think it'd be good to hear a little bit more about yourself. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I am a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man of faith. I have recently published my second book, Losing Faith, Finding Hope. I'm also a storytelling coach and a professional speaker. And one of my favorite things to do is to help people heal by sharing their stories. So that's why I do what I do with my speaking, writing, and coaching, is because everybody has a compelling story to share, and it's coaching them on how to share that story with confidence to make a difference.
So, story, right? I mean, like when you talk about a story and the power of story and the yeah, apologize for the technical error. But I was actually saying, the power of story, right? Like we come across a lot of people focusing on branding using the power of storytelling. So, what do you think about storytelling? And personally, how do you think that um, people, when they overcome shame, fear, and things like that through the power of storytelling, um, how do they actually transform from being fearful to having a sense of empowerment to change other people's lives? Like, how do you view that?
Yeah, so I think when a person learns how to tell their story, then it gives them a sense of freedom, it gives them peace, it gives them confidence. It literally transforms their entire life because now they're not running from their pain, not running from their past. They're running towards healing and embracing their future. So everyone should learn how to tell their story because that'll literally change your life forever.
So, I believe that, when it comes to sharing stories, right? Especially stories that, are difficult to share, people who feel that it would bring them shame, it would bring them it's vulnerable actually. You know, it takes a lot of vulnerability to share stories, personal stories especially. So um, how do people actually embrace the or own their story? You know, you just own up your story and you accept your whatever that has happened in your life, and then you know you share the story. So um, I mean, we all fear being judged and things like that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think when someone is ready to embrace their story, that it's good to seek professional help, right? So I believe that people should seek help from professionals, whether that's um, joining a support group or going to counseling or hiring a coach to help you with that, because chances are that you're not going to be able to do it on your own, right? That's why it's so important to have a good community and a team of supporters. So for the people who want to take that step, make sure that you have yourself. I tell everyone, have yourself a coach, because a coach is going to hold you accountable to helping you heal, helping you to craft that story, helping you to overcome those obstacles. So please make sure that you have the right people to support you to healing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And and you know your book, right? Especially talking about your book, Losing Faith, Finding Hope. Now, based on the blurb from Amazon, I know we will be able to see a little bit. I think I would like to share, share the screen so that people can actually see it. And just hold a moment. So here's it. Right. So this is your Amazon web page. So you and your wife have spent years trying to conceive the first child, your first child, right? And I think soon after that, you had some really difficult times. So could you like tell us a little bit about that and why you wrote the book?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had been praying for a child for years, and just I got discouraged after a while. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. Then I found out one day that my wife told me that she was pregnant, and we began to celebrate because we were going to have a child. So our prayer was answered. And then shortly after that, she went into labor prematurely, because our daughter was born 4 months early. And so when she was born, she was only 1 pound, but still as beautiful as ever. And seeing her every day was a blessing, because I just never knew if she was going to make it or not. There were moments when she was doing well, and then she would flatline, and then she would do well, and then she's dying in front of me. And then the nurses and doctors would come in and save her life. And then after 42 days of fighting, she died, and we left the hospital with no child and completely devastated and crushed. And I knew that I wanted to help people heal from pain and loss and suffering. And I believe one of the best ways to heal is to share your story. So I wrote this book to help other people heal with any pain or loss that they might be going through.
Now, right. So I think how many years was it that you were trying to like conceive your first child?
Say that again?
I mean, like how many years were you like trying to conceive your first child?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think there are like a lot of people I know waiting for something to happen, and then finally when they get it, it doesn't last, and um, it all feels like the whole world is just coming crashing down in your head. Finally when things do not last, right? So I think it is really crucial to live in the present moment. So how do you view that? I mean, after the incident, what has happened in your lives? Like, were you able to like, your wife, was she able to conceive again? And what happened after that?
Yeah, so after that, we were going to try to have a child again. And then a couple years later, it didn't happen afterwards. And then, we decided that I think that we both just came to the agreement that it wasn't in our cards to have another child together. So um, we stopped trying to have a child because we just truly believed that um, that was the plans for us at this point too. We were not going to have another child together. So we both came to an agreement and decided that it'd be best for us to not try that anymore. Hello? If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Yeah, so I was actually saying that, this situation is pretty much similar to people who are trying to get married, like, trying to find the right partner and just, get discouraged and just finally when they give up. So, what made you think that you and your wife, like, what made the two of you think that, you would want to like just stop trying, or have you actually lost your faith? I think it all comes back to the title of your book, Losing Faith and Finding Hope. So, is it because you lost the willpower to hold on to that faith, or is it because you want to just go with whatever that's supposed to happen in life, as opposed to what you want to happen in life?
Mm-hmm. So the title actually has a couple meanings. So losing faith, our belief, we were. I mean, at least for me, I was questioning God, and our daughter's name is also Faith. So we lost her,
Mm-hmm.
and we were trying to find hope again and maybe having another child. But when that didn't happen, we were trying to see, where are we going to find our hope? Our hope is in healing. Our hope is in sharing the story. And so we shifted our attention to being able to just impact people by sharing the story and making a difference. And um, we got to spend 42 precious days with our daughter that we're truly thankful for. And now it's helping other people heal by sharing our story.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, who are the people that you help primarily? Like, are they parents? Are they people like just like you who have lost their children, or like, are they from different walks of life?
Yeah,
Tell us
so
about. I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
my focus definitely is to help people who've lost a child, right? But it's also for people who've just lost someone in general, for people who have lost someone that they love, because it can feel very lonely and isolating during those moments when the person you love is no longer here. And so I want to be able to provide an environment and build relationships with people who are feeling alone and know that they need support. So my focus is to help people who have lost someone and they want to heal and they want to get better and they're trying to look for their next steps.
Mm-hmm. Right. But I have to say that, for someone to, even for couples who are actually trying to conceive, or people who are, just trying to find a partner, these are things that we want to have in life, but we do not have control over that. And we also do not know if that is ever going to be a part of our life, if it's going to happen in our life or not, right? So, accepting death is probably, we have to we have to deal with that, right? We have to deal with that. But things like, whether or not you're going to conceive again, things like whether or not you're going to meet someone in the future is just something that you do not know, and you cannot plan your life with that uncertainty. So, how do you embrace that uncertainty?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things to embrace in uncertainty is to still seek that faith, right? Because, there were moments where I lost my faith in God. I lost, what I believed in. And I had to know that no matter what happened in my life, that I could still have that relationship with God. I could still make sure that I put Him first. And from that experience, I was able to deal with the uncertainty because truthfully, nothing is ever certain in life. Life is always full of uncertainty. And when you decide to accept that life is full of uncertainties, you're going to have more peace because trying to control everything in your life your way is going to lead to more stress and worry and anxiety. So I just decided that um, when life is uncertain, I'm just going to embrace it and not run from it and know that it's going to be okay. Even if life feels like it's in a really dark place, that I'm just going to stay thankful for everything that comes my way, even if it's painful, even if it hurts. Doesn't mean I'm thankful for what happened. I'm just thankful for how it can be used to help me become a better person, to reach the people I've been called to reach.
Right. So I think one of the things that we try to do when we have a lot of challenges in life is to try to understand why that happened. Right. Like so that we can finally come to terms with it. Um, I do believe that in the initial part you were questioning a lot, like why does that have to, like, have to happen. But then how do you actually come to terms with that, like not knowing why things have to go that way? And I know it's during the initial period of struggling with that grief, we all do that to ourselves. And how do we come out of that phase, like trying not to make sense of what has happened?
Could you repeat that question again so I understand?
Like how do we make sense of things that have happened in the past, like without questioning too much why it happened the way it happened?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's okay to ask questions about things that have happened in the past. I think that it's healthy to want to know more and want to learn more. But I think the better option is knowing that you may never know the answer. And that's not easy for me to
Mm-hmm.
do or for anybody else to do because we all want to know the answer. We all want the facts. We all want the truth. But the bottom line is, sometime on this side of heaven, you may not ever get the answer. And it's just you gotta be okay with it. And even though it's very hard, I may never know why that my daughter didn't survive, and it bothers me, of course, and it hurts. And I might not ever have the answer while I'm here. But until then, I'm gonna do my best to use her life as an example to help people heal from pain and loss. And that's my way of making sense of what happened is that I'm gonna use it for good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we all actually struggle with that, like in order to find that answer, and probably after several years, down the road, it will all make sense. Like I think we all have been there, like at this point of time, when you look back 10 years ago, what happened 10 years ago, you would understand why things have to happen that way. But the answers may not come to us like soon, like soon enough. Sometimes, like you said, the answers may not come at all, right? So that is definitely a very challenging process, right? So with regards to your book reviews, I think we can see over here you've got a lot of glowing reviews over here. So tell us about how people actually, you know, um, view your book and after reading it, what did they actually say about your book?
One of the really amazing things about it has been that a lot of people have messaged me or came up to me and contacted me and shared some losses that they've had in their life. And some of these people have never even shared with their family or their friends. They've never told anyone and have just shared with me because the book is real and it's vulnerable and it's explaining, all the details of my loss and pain. And what that does is it invites conversations to people to share openly with what they've been maybe hiding for weeks, months, years, and a lifetime because they've never felt comfortable enough to talk about it. So I believe this book is a great way for people to open up and share about their losses.
Mm-hmm. Right. And also at your speaking gig, what are the responses you had? Like any memorable people, any person that you actually came across before that maybe you want to like share with us?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Anybody that you come across during your speaking gig? I believe that you have spoken at many times. So do they actually read your book? After your speaking gig?
Yeah, so my speaking is definitely related to the content of my book, and I've had people who have read the book first and then heard me speak after, have heard me speak first and then read the book later. And recently at a speaking event that I was just at, a gentleman came up to me. He lost a son, and he thought he was completely over, what happened, and he just confessed to me and broke down crying in tears talking about how he thought he had coped with it, he thought he had healed from it and moved on, and realized after hearing my story that he was hiding his pain and not really dealing
Mm-hmm.
with his emotions. And sometimes we can hide our pain through some bad habits. That could be drugs, that could be fighting, it could be
Uh-huh.
stealing. But sometimes a lot of times it comes in good things. It could be someone who's working really hard, right? Like a workaholic, and they
Mm-hmm.
hide their pain and their success, and they're trying to pursue that success to forget about the pain. And I feel like that's what he was doing, and he just shared openly with how his pain has been buried so far. He never really addressed it, and until after I spoke with him, he addressed it, and he just broke down crying and had me lay hands and pray for him and to help him and encourage him to keep healing.
I mean, I think you spoke about definitely an important aspect of our lives. I think a lot of people trying to keep themselves busy for the sake of keeping themselves just busy to avoid dealing with their emotions, to just not face their emotions and things like that. So especially men. So talking about mental health and men and embracing emotions, just like the gentleman that you have explained earlier, talked about him earlier. Um, how hard it is, has the society made it difficult for men to embrace their emotions and loss and whatever that is? I mean, like the loss of a child or probably the loss of parents. Has it been hard for men?
I think one of the most difficult thing for any man to do is to admit that he's weak, to express his pain, to talk about his suffering, to reveal his struggle, because men want to be looked at as strong. They want to be known as successful. And if they're crying and they're emotional like that, then a part of them feels like they've done something wrong. And that's like our biggest fear is that we just don't want to be fully known as someone who's vulnerable enough to share their pain. And so men will spend an entire lifetime sometimes never revealing or talking about or showing the emotion. And it is the emotions that they're running from are the exact emotions that they need to share. but since they never embrace them and accept them and share them with the world, their emotions come out in other ways with destructive behavior. And that's behavior is just used to disguise the emotions that are buried inside of them.
How do you think that the society, people, family members, or even friends can actually help not just women, but I think women have been getting the support all they need, like, all the way. But I think men have not been getting that. So how do you think that we can be more of a support for men to deal with their emotions and things like that?
I think it needs to be encouraged. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be at the dinner table. It needs to be at a community center. It needs to be at work. It needs to be at school. It needs to be other men who have status and fame and power to say that it's okay. It starts to be with the husbands and the fathers in the home, and sharing about it and talking about it, and then having the people in their lives talk about it. And I think if more people just are real with what's really going on, I think that's how it changes. Like, people just need, someone needs to just step up. Like, someone has to be the one in their home. Someone has to be the one in their family. Someone has to be the one, and I just want to be the one to talk about what's really going on, like how I really feel. And I think that's where it starts.
I think it's all about the fear of judgment, right? Like the fear of being judged. That is really, really stopping men from openly sharing their feelings and emotions. So I think it's about creating a space where men know that they can actually share the emotions without being judged or without being, looked down upon and things like that, which is really crucial, I think, in this time where we are all going through a pandemic right now, and we've got a lot of people struggling with mental health as well, and not to forget children who have lost parents, due to COVID, and parents who have lost children due to COVID and things like that. So it's really a difficult time that we're living in right now, and what do you have to, like, tell to people out there? What is the one key message that you would like to share with the audience today, out there, those who are actually going through grief, who have gone through loss?
I'd say one of the most important things is to seek help. I think a lot of people try to solve things themselves because they think that they can just manage on their own. And healing does not
Mm-hmm.
happen in isolation. Healing can only happen in community. It can only happen with support. And for people out there going through grief and they feel like nobody understands and nobody can relate and nobody can help them, that's just gonna cause more grief in your life. Now there's the grief of that loss. Now there's the grief of the isolation that comes with the loss. And it's the grief of just never healing. I encourage people to seek out professional help from the right people who want to help you, who want to support you, who want to encourage you through this time. Someone that you can pick up the phone, you can call, you can text, they're going to answer, they're going to be there. Just seek help and find the right people to help you. And that will make the grieving process, doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but it will become more manageable.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we all talk about this, right? I mean, we all talk about, advising people to reach out to their family and friends to talk to and all. But I think it is a sad thing, as an adult, we tend not to be in touch with people that we love on a daily basis, and that makes reaching out to people even harder, right? So, how do we? I think, like, we need to ask ourselves. I think, are we being a good listener? Are we being there for other people? How do you think that we can be a good listener, or be there for someone?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the best ways to be a listener is to be silent. I think a lot of times that when
Mm,
we are listening to what someone has to say, we're listening to think about what we're going to say next rather than listening to understand. And that can be a very challenging thing to learn. And I think that's one of the big things, especially for someone who's in grief. Don't judge it. You know, their pain is their pain, and don't tell them to get over it. You know, just try to be very sensitive to how they may be feeling. And you don't really need to have words of wisdom during those moments. It's really just sometimes it's silence. Just being there, your presence is enough when someone's going through a hard time. You don't have to have scripture always. You don't have to have a quote. You don't have to have a nice thing to say, the perfect words to speak. It's just being there. Just being in the presence can be enough. And just shut your mouth, open your ears, and just listen.
so yeah, I mean, I was also thinking that since you mentioned that you're not trying for a child anymore, have you ever considered like adoption, things like that, like down the road? Has it ever been part of your plans? Like, have you ever thought of it?
Could you say I couldn't hear you? Could you repeat that?
Have you considered adopting a kid?
Yeah, that's actually something we talked about before. That's a conversation we had for a little while, but then just decided it wasn't the plan, so we didn't follow through on that.
I see. I think one of the difficult things that people can ever deal with is to whether to wait and see what's going to happen or plan for something else, right? So that can be a very challenging process for anyone. And I think at that point of time, we need to just let life happen to us a little bit and just go with the flow and see what happens next, rather than just being so trying to control the events of our life, I guess. So I think that's where, especially parents who lost their children, they are struggling with that part a lot, right? Whether they want to try more or they just want to let it go, and have faith in just whatever that's going to come. So that's the challenging part of it, I guess. So that was definitely an interesting interview with you, Jesse. So I really, really hope that people who are watching this or people who are going to watch this later on during the replay will learn one or two from your experience and will pick up your book. Go to Amazon.com and check out your book and then get it. So this is the I've also actually shared the Amazon link at the cabana over here, and this is where they can actually go and check out your book. So hopefully this would help people struggling with loss to overcome their pain a little bit. And I hope that you would continue sharing your story to people out there in order to help them heal, and hopefully that would also heal your pain, as it goes. So thank you so much, Jesse, for joining me today. It was actually a pleasure to talk to you and hearing you sharing your story yet another time. I guess you have shared your story, many many times, and hopefully you will also, find your own healing throughout the process. So thank you so much, Jesse.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, probably we can, meet again in another interview series. So till then, take care and thank you so much.
Thank you.